The biggest thing that usually is starting that Sunday scary is a misalignment, at least with most of the people that I talk to. Their values and what they're living every day have a mismatch. And often that mismatch has reached the point where it's no longer just the work bucket where things aren't aligned. But like me, it's starting to spread into their family life and the way they interact with their children and their health and their wellness. And so that idea of what is really important to me and beginning to understand what you truly value is really, to me, the first step in starting to figure out where do I need to go in order to create alignment and joy.
Welcome to She Coaches Coaches, the podcast where we have thoughtful, honest conversations about what it really takes to build a thriving coaching business. I'm your host, Candy Motzek, and before building my business, I spent years as a senior corporate leader. Now, today, I work with coaches who are smart, well-trained, and deeply capable, and who want clarity about how to grow in a way that feels aligned and financially sustainable. On this show, I sit down with successful coaches to explore the real decisions behind their success, how they got started, what shifted as they grew, and the mindset and business choices that helped them gain momentum without burning out. Whether you're early in your coaching journey or refining a business you've already built, She Coaches Coaches is here to offer perspective, confidence, and grounded insight to support your next chapter. To learn more about how I work with people, go to my website, stepintosuccessnow.com. And now let's dive in. Hey there, and welcome to She Coaches Coaches. I'm your host, Candy Motzek, and I am so glad to welcome this guest. Let me tell you a little bit about her. Her name is Marie Clark, and she's a business coach, speaker, entrepreneur, and founder of Move to Joy Coaching. With more than 15 years experience leading transformation projects across industries, she helps high-achieving women move from burnout and overwhelm to clarity, purpose, and joy. Her practical, honest approach blends leadership, development, communication, and change management with a deep commitment to helping women build work and lives that feel as good as they look. Marie, welcome to the show.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here, Candy.
Oh, let's start. I want to know, in your work, what are you most excited about in your work right now?
I am thrilled about the impact I'm beginning to have, not just one-on-one and individually, but to larger groups, and therefore just helping more people move to joy.
Tell me about this. Tell me more.
So, so kind of I started where so many of my clients start. I was corporate burnout on steroids. I was sitting in a 911 room running a big, massive project. Calls were coming in. We're trying to cut over the phone system and it's not going well. Have all of that pressure. I'd been crying for a month between the general stress plus this project. I've been crying every single day. And I knew something had to change, but it was that day when my boss sent me the message, how's it going? And I'm like, asking me this question. And then he proceeded to ask me about an administrative task that got missed 6 months before. And that was the day I went, this job's going to kill me. I have to get out. And it was also the day I realized that not only was it physically killing me, but it was going to emotionally kill me. And it was going to take away the relationships that were so important to me. So my job was going to steal my personal joy, and then it was going to steal joy from the rest of my life. And I could not let that happen. So that began my mission to really begin this impact.
Yeah, that phrase, how's it going? Just, yeah. Talk about a disconnected lead, right? So I have my own version of this story. So I just want to be sure that we're talking about your version and not my version of it. So it's a big thing to decide that you're going to do life in a different way. And in a way that, in your case, doesn't suck the joy out of the bones of everything, right? As you were going through that, what is one idea, like the one idea that changed how you thought about what was possible or about what success was?
I think it was that idea that I'd always compartmentalized that work, right? And it all of a sudden, it was now going to take an amazing relationship with my spouse. I had lost over 100 pounds. I had moved from a couch potato to being an endurance swimmer. And my job was taking all that away from me. And that idea of I'm going to lose my life was so critical. And it was almost like people that have, heart attacks or that diagnosis, that medical diagnosis that this has to change. And it was the idea that, you know what? Nobody's going to change it for me. I'm not winning the lottery. Nobody's going to give me my dream job where I can travel 7 weeks of the year. I have to create it. And I took back my power. Ownership.
And there was also a decisiveness, like that this is up to me, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. It's a good thing you did that, right?
I like to think so. My husband agrees most days.
What have you learned about yourself as you've been through this journey?
So what I have learned and what I actually keep learning is how much the limiting beliefs of my childhood and the limiting beliefs and expectations of other people were holding me back in ways I had no idea. And like many people, I didn't have a great childhood in many ways, right? But I went to therapy. I thought I was good. And then to find out as I begin this journey, the number of things that were sitting there under the surface, influencing decisions, I was like, wow, now I feel like I've got a bit more control of my life, ownership of my life. I didn't realize how little ownership I had because of those limiting beliefs and expectations.
Yeah. It makes me think that we're kind of in an interesting time. I mean, not only do we have the overzealous corporation and what they feel is appropriate for a team, and then we've also got society. And then we're at this sort of time in history where what a woman chooses to be, what an individual decides to be, is no longer what needed to be 30 years ago. So it's really interesting to come to this time where it's like definitions are changing quick. And I think a lot of those things that you said, wow, like limiting beliefs from childhood or whatever, we would never have noticed them if the timing wasn't right. Like the soil has to be fertile to see that limiting belief. Yeah. Do you have one in particular, like one limiting belief that really like, that was it? That was like, there was like a no turning back sort of moment?
Yeah, it's really funny because the moment of that was actually after I decided to leave corporate. I was still working in corporate, but I was transitioning into becoming a coach. And it was only then that I realized I had been taught that I could either be financially secure, in a job that would pay the bills, or I could be happy in a career. I was not allowed to have both. And the day I realized that, I cried, which I don't usually cry. So that was a big thing right there. But I continually find myself going, wait, you can do this the way you want to do it because you can have enough money to support you and enjoy your life.
And it's like these two thoughts thought that they were sort of two rails on a rail line, like a railroad line. And then you realize that, wait a minute, they don't have to be parallel. Like there's nothing actually really separating them. Yeah. Interesting. I wonder how many other people have that exact same. I can be happy or I can be financially career successful. And why not? Why not both? Yeah. Why not you? Why not both? Why not now? Right? What advice would you give to someone who's just starting out? Like they've got the Sunday scaries, right? And it's 4:00 on Sunday and they're starting to get that feeling. What advice would you give them?
So the biggest thing that usually is starting that Sunday scary is a misalignment, at least with most of the people that I talk to. Their values and what they're living every day have a mismatch. And often that mismatch has reached the point where it's no longer just the work bucket where things aren't aligned. But like me, it's starting to spread into their family life and the way they interact with their children and their health and their wellness. And so that idea of what is really important to me and beginning to understand what you truly value is really, to me, the first step in starting to figure out where do I need to go in order to create alignment and joy.
Do you find that once people get connected with their values and they understand them, that it's almost like a domino? It's like, now I know my values. It just happens that now I make new choices and now things move forward. Or is it not quite like that for you?
Uh, it there are a small subset of people who once they realize it, it starts to guide every decision. But I think for most people, they find that they need to keep being reminded of them. And hopefully, in my case, I'm lucky that I've got both a professional group and a social group that help me remember where I am and when things get a little off, to come back to those values. But not everyone has that. And so that idea that you can just magically say, yes, my value is authenticity with my family and presence, and magically make everything happen so that works, very rare.
Yeah. And then also, like, you might know those words, but what does it actually mean in real life? Is it clear communication? Is it respect for self and others? Like, what exactly is that? Right.
Yeah. How we use various value terms is different from person to person, right? It's individual, and how you live them out, to your point, really, how you express those values is very individual as well.
And I'm noticing as well with a number of people that I'm speaking with recently, our language is quite limited in that, we hear these words authentic, integrity, aligned, resonant, core values. We hear these things. Each of us has our own sort of understanding of them, definition of them. But it's like we're kind of evolving to the point where we need new language, need language that captures this sort of new way of being. Do you ever experienced anything like that with your clients?
I have. And so one of the things I do as a coach all the time is I'm saying, just so I'm clear.
I love how you just, so for the people who are just listening, you have to go look at the video, but there's just this very coach like direct eye contact thing happening here.
So I'm asking them for clarity, and it's not words that I want. I want a picture. And so I want them to tell me, what are you thinking? What are you doing? What are you feeling in that moment? And what happens as you're living that value? What's the result of that? So, we use one word, authenticity. And to your point, right, it's this huge unpacking of what that really means to that particular person.
Yeah, that's really fun. I love it. It's one of the fun things about the work that we do. So, 6 months from now, this episode will be live and somebody is going to stumble upon it and listen to our conversation. What idea do you hope that they will take away?
That it's possible. Yeah, to me, joy starts with hope. Hope starts with possibility. If you don't think it's possible to get out of your career or situation, whatever your situation is, if you don't even think it's possible, you're never even going to hope to be able to make a change. So you're never actually going to take any movement towards that.
So, possibility, hope, joy is sort of the hot track. I love that. Thank you. Do you have a free gift to share with the listeners?
I do. I actually have two different ones because not everyone looks for a career change. So I have one that's just a simple 15 minutes or less to move to joy. And that is suitable for everyone, regardless of their situation or age. And then for those that are in that career situation, right, that so many of us were in at one point, I have Are you burned out? Are you bored out? Or are you both quiz?
I love that. I'll put the link for both of them so people can just click on either, whichever one is most appropriate. And then how can they find out more about you and come into your world?
Yeah. So obviously my website, which is movetojoycoaching.com, and that's two as in TO, not the number. And then I'm also very active on LinkedIn. So a great way to kind of follow what's going on and events and where I'm speaking and that sort of thing is on LinkedIn under Marie M. Clark.
I'll put that link in the episode notes as well. Thank you so much for joining me. I really enjoyed the conversation, something we really need right now. Thank you so much. All right, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Please go out and check out Marie, get her free gift, go and see her on LinkedIn or go and look at her website. And I know that she has a lot of wisdom to share with all of us. Have a great day. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of She Coaches Coaches. If this conversation resonated, take a moment to reflect on what stood out and how it connects to where you are right now. Coaching businesses grow through clarity and thoughtful choices, not pressure or hustle. If you'd like more support, you can learn more at stepintosuccessnow.com. I'll put the link in the episode notes. And if you found this episode helpful, I'd appreciate it if you would share it with a peer or colleague who would enjoy it as well. I appreciate you being here. Have a great day.